A 22-year-old sonar technician from USS Hartford sits completely still in the dark. It is 0300. The submarine is running silent at 800 feet below the surface of the North Atlantic. Nobody on the surface knows exactly where they are. Nobody on the surface can know. That is the point. He has been awake for 19 hours. The last time he saw sunlight was 47 days ago. The air he is breathing has been recycled through a chemical scrubbing system. The same air filtered and reused, over and over again, for every one of those 47 days. And somewhere in his headset, buried under the noise of the ocean, there is something, a sound, a contact, something that shouldn't be there. He has 90 seconds to decide if it's a threat. Because if it is, if he's wrong, or if he's too slow, the consequences don't just affect him. They affect every one of the 140 men sealed inside the steel tube with him. 140 men. No windows, no exit. 800 feet of ocean between them and open air. And if something goes wrong down here, there is no rescue coming in time. This is what it really means to serve aboard a United States Navy submarine. Stay with us, because what you're about to discover goes deeper than most Americans ever imagined. Last time on American Steel, we went below the deck of a United States aircraft carrier and discovered the brutal human reality behind 5,000 sailors living in spaces smaller than coffins for 9 months at a time. But as hard as life on a carrier is, there is another world in the United States Navy that makes it look spacious. A world with no sunlight, ever. A world where the air you breathe is manufactured. Where the water you drink is extracted from the ocean itself. Where the men inside can't make a phone call, can't send an email, can't tell their families where they are, or even confirm they're alive for weeks at a time. A United States Navy submarine. There are 68 commissioned submarines currently serving in the United States fleet. Together, they represent the most lethal, most secretive, and most psychologically demanding assignment in the entire United States military. Submariners are not drafted into this life. They volunteer for it. They test for it. They earn it. And then they disappear beneath the waves for months at a time. And the rest of us go about our lives completely unaware of the men running silent in the deep, keeping this nation safe. Today, we're going inside that world. If you believe the men running silent beneath the ocean deserve the same recognition as any other hero in uniform, type DEPH in the comments right now. Let's show these sailors that America knows they're down there. The boat that swallows you whole. A Los Angeles-class submarine is 360 feet long and 33 feet wide. That sounds significant. Until you realize that inside those dimensions, you have to fit nuclear reactors, torpedo tubes, missile systems, engine rooms, a full navigation suite. And then, whatever space is left over, that's where 140 human beings live. The result is a living space that makes an aircraft carrier rack look generous. A submarine sailor's bunk, also called a rack, is roughly the same 72 inches long as a carrier rack. But the available space around it is even tighter, because the submarine hull curves. The passageways between compartments are so narrow that two people cannot pass each other without one of them pressing flat against the wall. The ceiling in most areas runs just inches above a standing sailor's head. And unlike a carrier, where you at least have the theoretical possibility of going topside, of standing on a deck and feeling wind, on a submarine, there is no topside. There is no deck to stand on. There is no wind. There is no sky. Once that hatch closes and the submarine dives, the world above ceases to exist. Some submarines on long patrols stay submerged for 70, 80, even 90 consecutive days. Think about that for a moment. 90 days without ever seeing the sky. Without ever breathing air that hasn't been recycled. Without ever hearing anything except machinery, ocean, and the voices of the same 140 men you've been locked inside this tube with for 3 straight months. Imagine stepping into a windowless room the size of a school bus and not stepping out for 90 days. That is the baseline of submarine life. Not the exception. The standard. The air you breathe. Manufactured. Here's something most people never think about. On a submarine, the air is not real. Not in the way we experience air on the surface. A submarine is a sealed, pressurized environment. It cannot simply open a window. It cannot let in fresh air from outside, because outside is 800 feet of ocean. Instead, the submarine generates its own oxygen through a process called electrolysis, splitting seawater into hydrogen and oxygen using electrical current. The oxygen gets pumped into the boat. The hydrogen, which is dangerously flammable, gets carefully vented. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide from 140 breathing human beings is continuously scrubbed from the air using lithium hydroxide canisters. The same chemical technology used on NASA's spacecraft. The system works, but the air inside a submarine at depth feels different. Submariners describe it as heavier, thicker, slightly stale, in a way that you adapt to but never fully stop noticing. The humidity runs high, consistently around 70%, because warm bodies and machinery generate moisture in a sealed space with no real ventilation. In the engine room, temperatures regularly reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Sailors working back there soak through their uniforms within minutes of starting a shift. They work in that heat for 6-hour stretches, then return to bunk spaces where the temperature is kept low to offset the heat produced by the reactors, which means some sailors go from 100-degree heat directly into 65-degree sleeping quarters every single shift. But here's what nobody tells you. The sailors who monitor and maintain that air system, the ones who make sure 140 men keep breathing, are often among the youngest people on board. 20-year-olds responsible for the atmospheric survival of an entire crew. Running system checks at 2 a.m. In the dark, in the heat, in the recycled air, in the deep. This is what American resolve looks like. Before we go further, take 1 second and hit that subscribe button right now. Over 98% of people watching this video are not subscribed to American Steel. It costs you nothing, but it's how we keep bringing you these stories about the men who serve in the dark, in the deep, so the rest of us never have to. Subscribe. 1 second. Do it now. The silence rule, and what it costs. A submarine's greatest tactical weapon is not its torpedoes. It's not its missiles. It is silence. The entire boat is engineered around the concept of acoustic stealth. The hull is coated with sound-absorbing rubber tiles, over 5,000 individual tiles applied to the exterior, specifically designed to absorb enemy sonar pulses rather than reflect them. Machinery inside is mounted on vibration-dampening systems. The propellers are precision engineered to minimize cavitation noise. Even the crew's shoes are designed to reduce footfall sound, because in submarine warfare, the first boat that gets heard loses. This creates a psychological reality aboard the submarine that has no equivalent anywhere else in the military. There are periods called rig for quiet or ultra quiet when noise discipline becomes total. No unnecessary movement, no drop tools, no raised voices. Every sound you make is a potential signal to an enemy sonar operator, somewhere in the water above or around you. Imagine living in genuine silence, enforced silence, with 139 other people. No music playing, no loud conversations. Every footstep calculated, every door closed with deliberate care. The ocean pressing in on every side, and the only thing between you and 800 feet of water is a steel hull and the discipline of every man inside it. The mental weight of that silence is something former submariners consistently describe as one of the hardest parts of the job. Not the physical confinement, not the recycled air. The silence, the controlled, mandatory, mission-critical silence that can last for days at a time. And in that silence, you think. You have a lot of time to think. About home, about the people you're missing, about how many days are left, about whether the contact on the sonar screen is what you think it is, and what happens if you're wrong. Cut off from the world. On an aircraft carrier, communication with home is limited, but it exists. A satellite phone line, with a long wait. Email that goes through in batches. Occasional video calls, when bandwidth allows. On a submarine, on a strategic patrol, there is none of that. A submerged submarine maintains communication silence. Any transmission, any signal sent from the boat, is a potential location indicator. In a combat or strategic environment, that signal could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophe. So the submarine doesn't transmit. For weeks at a time, it receives nothing and sends nothing. Families of submarine sailors live with a unique kind of uncertainty. They know their husband, their son, their father is out there, somewhere. They know the boat left on a certain date. They do not know exactly where it is. They do not know what it's doing. They will not receive a phone call, a text, or an email to confirm everything is okay. They simply wait, and in the rare moments when a one-way message called a familygram does get transmitted down to the boat, a 50-word maximum message approved by the Navy, that is everything. 50 words from your family. 50 words to know that your kids are healthy, that your wife still loves you, that the dog is fine. Submariners describe reading those 50 words over and over, for days, until the next one arrives. 50 words, that's all you get, and they are everything. Did you know submarine families go weeks without any confirmation their sailor is even alive? Tell us in the comments what you think that's like. We read every response. Why they disappear into the deep. After everything we've described, the sealed hull, the recycled air, the enforced silence, the 90 days without sunlight, the 50-word messages from home, you have to ask the same question we asked about our carrier sailors. Why? Why does a young man from a small town in Tennessee volunteer to be locked inside a steel tube and sunk to the bottom of the ocean for months at a time. Why does a father of three re-enlist, knowing his family won't know if he's okay for 6 weeks? Why do the finest, most technically gifted young people in this country choose the hardest, quietest, most invisible path in the entire military? Because submarines don't get ticker tape parades. There are no viral videos of submarine launches going around on social media. When a submarine crew returns from patrol, they don't sail into a harbor full of cheering crowds and waving flags. They come home quietly in the early morning to appear with their family standing there. And that is enough. They chose this invisibility. They volunteer for the anonymous defense of this nation. They go where no one can see them, do what no one can know about, and come home without being able to say where they were or what they did. And yet, here is the truth. Right now, as you watch this video, there are United States Navy submarines somewhere in the world's oceans, running at depth. Silent, invisible, their crews breathing manufactured air, reading 50-word messages from home, monitoring sonar contacts in the dark. Not for glory, not for recognition, for you. For every American who goes to sleep tonight not thinking about what it takes to keep this country safe. For everyone who has never had to think about it, because these men made sure you didn't have to. The next time you hear the phrase, silent service, that's not just a nickname. It's a code. It means we will do what needs to be done, and we will never ask you to know about it. They deserve more than our gratitude. They deserve our awe. Now you know the truth about the silent service. Below the surface of the world's oceans, 140 Americans at a time are living sealed inside a steel tube, breathing manufactured air, running silent through the dark, cut off from everyone they love so this nation can sleep without fear. No windows, no sky, no recognition. Just duty, discipline, and the unshakable belief that what they do matters. That is the United States Navy submarine force. That is American strength in its purest, quietest form. If this video gave you a new respect for the men running silent in the deep, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to American Steel so you never miss a story like this.